So Catalyst is a cohort-based training program designed to help educators and community leaders start their own microschool. So it's not just about learning, it's about being, a part of a group of like-minded people who are all on the same journey as you. So supporting one another as you build your schools. And with Catalyst, you really get the freedom to bring your vision to life. So you don't have to try to fit into somebody else's model or somebody else's system, which I'm assuming many of you have done before. The great thing about Catalyst is that we let you decide what kind of school you want to run, who you want to serve, and how you want to teach. So unlike a traditional path in education, there's unlimited financial upside as well. So you're building an independent, sustainable school that grows with you. So we really want to make sure that you're building a school that doesn't just open, but it thrives and survives. And as part of that, it's unlimited financial upside. So whatever money you make is essentially, once you pay all of your expenses and everything like that, that money, depending on your model, can go back into your pocket. So the last thing here is, most importantly, you're not doing this alone. So Catalyst provides 2 full years of support across all aspects of your school, from academics to operations, compliance, marketing. We're not just there with you, through your launch, but as you learn to run and grow your school sustainably as well. So tonight we have a great panel with us. I'm really excited to introduce the panelists in a few minutes here. And we're really going to walk you through kind of how Catalyst works, the support you'll receive, and how this program helps you get from where you are right now to actually opening your doors. So with that, I'd love to turn it over to our panelists. So we have Mercedes here, who is one of our mentors at Catalyst. So Mercedes went through our first cohort of KaiPod Catalyst, and now is in her second year of operation. And this past year, she was actually one of our mentors for Catalyst. So all of the mentors that we have in our program have previously opened a microschool. One of the things that we hear often from founders is, I just want to hear from people who have done it before. So tonight we're really going to get into that like mentor-mentee relationship a bit. So we have Mercedes, and then we have Bonnie and Melissa, who were 2 of Mercedes' mentees. So if you guys could take a few minutes and just introduce yourselves, maybe share where your school is, your name of your school, and then we'll go ahead and learn a little bit more about Catalyst after that.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. My name is Mercedes Grant. I am the founder of Path of Life Learning. My micro school is in Yorktown, Virginia. I was a military spouse traveling all over the United States, working in different capacities as a public school teacher. And I stumbled across KaiPod Catalyst one day on a podcast, and I knew almost immediately I wanted to be in this program because I needed help. And it was such an incredible opportunity for me, not only to find some answers for some of the most commonly asked questions, especially back then. I am in year 3 at my micro school. So there was not a whole lot of information or community out there at that time. But I did build and form a community with KaiPod Catalyst, with other founders. And now I am in year 3 of being opened. I was able to open my first year with over 30 students. Last year I had 45 students, and this year I have 75 students. We are booming and growing and thriving, and it is the best experience that I have personally had. Thank you so much. I saw some of you are in Tennessee. I've taught in Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Maryland, right outside of DC. I saw a local DC person here, and now I'm in Virginia, and it's just been such a beautiful journey. And some of the best learning happens at Path of Life. So if you guys want to check me out, please go visit pathoflifelearning.com. It's such a happy place, and I'm very honored to be here tonight.
Thanks, Mercedes. All right, Bonnie.
So I'm Bonnie Bradshaw. I am the proud owner of Royal Oak Academy here in Suffolk, Virginia. And we're about 45 minutes away from Mercedes. So that was awesome. I got to spend time at her school. I think I've been there 3 times and spending the day with her. Um, I have been homeschooling for about 39 years now total, between my children, grandchildren, other people's children, and did not know that microschooling was a thing until I was fortunate enough to be searching the internet and came across Microschool. So what is a microschool? And I researched that, came across KaiPod with several others, researched them, fell in love with KaiPod, and I'm like, this is it. This is where I've got to be. And I mean, I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed, filled out paperwork, sent in, and just prayed. And it just all worked out. And I got the best coach in the world, which is Mercedes. And she helped tremendously with things that I didn't know. Um, when you want to start a micro school, you don't know where to go, you don't know what to do, you don't know the steps. And KaiPod, they have everything. There's nothing you could ask for. And everybody is so helpful. And I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for them. If I chose anybody else, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Oh, thanks, Bonnie. I'm about to tear up. All right, Melissa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Palmer. I am in the Tampa Bay area in Florida, and my school is called Rise Learning Studio. And I currently, in my first year, have just over 30 students. I am serving K to 12, so we are very diverse. We have a lot of different types of students from different backgrounds, including homeschool, and we have some public school students that have switched to microschooling, which that's where I came from. I was a public school educator, and I knew that I could envision something better for not only my own children, but for other students in my area. And so, I had the vision, but I don't think it would have come to life had I not had the KaiPod team helping me along. And Mercedes was definitely a big part of that. She, was just there through all the questions. And I would not, like I said, I would not have been able to make my vision a reality had it not been for the program. So I appreciate you guys too.
Amazing. Thank you. Awesome. So we will dive into the panel questions in just a minute. I just want to make sure that everybody's kind of on board with what Catalyst is and how we support you beforehand. We will have a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions that come up, please feel free to throw them in the chat. My team is monitoring that, and we'll get to as many as possible at the end. So let's talk about how the program actually works. I know this is a question we get a lot, is like, cool, this sounds great, but like, what is it? I don't really understand. So this is kind of a general overview of Catalyst. So first is the content piece. So we give you a clear step-by-step course on how to start your school. So it's essentially like a playbook with checklists and templates and examples from schools that have already launched successfully. The content is delivered through self-paced learning. So the program is structured into 6 general phases that guide you from idea to launch. So phase 1 is kind of, building the basics. Phase 2 builds on those basics, and so forth, so on and so forth. And for each of the phases, we give you suggested deadlines to help keep you accountable, but you can always move at your own pace. So, you're never stuck waiting for other people, and you can also push forward when you're ready. So that's kind of the content piece. Like I said, it is asynchronous. This is one of the only asynchronous pieces of the program, but also where you will spend most of your time. So through the content, you'll work to actually build your school. Second, we have coaching. So opening a school comes with a lot of questions, a lot of roadblocks, and a lot of tough decisions. So that's where our team comes in. You'll always have somebody to answer your questions, help you troubleshoot, and just generally keep you moving forward. So whether it's, navigating crazy regulations that are always changing, choosing a curriculum for your ideal type of student, help with marketing or understanding finances, you'll always have a team that you can turn to, which is what is so great about Catalyst. You're never really doing this alone. We do leave all of the decisions up to you. We will give you suggestions on things, but ultimately you do have full decision-making power. So we'll dig a little bit deeper into this when we hear from our panelists in a few minutes as well. And then lastly, we have community and personal mentorship. So you won't be doing this alone. You'll be surrounded by other founders who are on the exact same journey as you, learning and sharing and collaborating together. So this is where accountability and encouragement come in, and where many of our founders say that they find the most inspiration. So the community really comes alive in our regular group meetings. These are a mix of all cohort sessions, so where the whole cohort comes together and we deep dive into one or two topics. Make sure that you guys are, understanding the content that you're reading in the course, a chance to ask questions and learn from experts. And then the other type of meeting that we have are small group meetings. So obviously, it's a large cohort that can be overwhelming. So we also break you down into small groups. So Mercedes ran one of our small groups, which Melissa and Bonnie were members of. And in these, you'll be led by a mentor like Mercedes, who has opened a school before. So in these meetings, you'll focus more on things like building up your confidence and shifting your mindset from maybe educator to entrepreneur. And then obviously you'll have opportunities to work with your mentor on anything specific to your school as well. So the meetings are optional, but highly recommended. And they're really a great opportunity to connect with your peers and share your progress, ask any questions that you have, and just really learn from one another in real time. So when you put all of these elements together, the self-paced content, the personal mentorship, and the strong community through regular meetings, you essentially get this beautiful program that's flexible enough to fit your life, but structured enough to help you actually launch your school. All right, so now let's take a look at what is actually in the course itself. So I'm not going to go through each of these in detail. Feel free to read them here, but there are 6 clear phases from defining your vision all the way through opening your doors, as I mentioned. With that, you do get step-by-step checklists and templates, so you always know what to do next. So there's no I don't really know where to go from here. I don't know what I should have done before this, or you get to some step and you're like, "Ooh, I really didn't realize that I had to do these 3 things beforehand." It really is like a step-by-step guide, so that there's never any question of what to do next. And then also the templates are amazing. Really anything that you're oh, I need to work on this. This is something that I need to build. We really try to have that in a template to make it as easy as possible for you. I know I don't remember the exact number, but when we started our first KaiPod location, we paid thousands and thousands of dollars in legal fees just to have people review, our family handbook, our employee handbook, and things like that. And we really want to save you that money. There's no reason for you guys to pay for those services again. So we just put all of ours into a template that has already been reviewed from a legal standpoint. So you can essentially just plug and play and send that out to your families. There's also guides on the essentials. So things like compliance, curriculum, operations, marketing, finances, all of these really scary words. So we have guides on kind of how to accomplish everything within the 7, 8 modules that we have in here. And then you also get real examples from case studies from schools that have already launched successfully, as I mentioned before. So some of them are things that worked well, and some of them are things that didn't work well, so that hopefully you don't repeat the same mistake or example that another school has done. So overall, the goal is really simple. Just there's no guesswork, there's no fluff. It's just a clear path to get your school open and running. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and we will dive in to hearing more from our lovely panelists and not just me talking at you. All right, Matt, do you mind pinning Mercedes, Bonnie, Melissa, and myself? Awesome. So really excited for you guys to hear from these amazing ladies tonight. To kick things off, Mercedes, I'd love to hear from you. What is one of the things that has been kind of the most rewarding for you in supporting school founders?
Oh, that's a great question. So you might not be able to tell, but you may. I don't know. But I love people. I love relationships. I love building with others. I love giving back. And part of this is knowing that I am in the bigger picture of creating ed spaces for children of all different kinds, all different backgrounds, beliefs, ability levels. That makes me super excited. It is part of my mission to really make sure that founders or potential founders have all of the tools that they need, but also have someone that is a reliable person that they can call on. I think building the friendships, the camaraderie, all of those things are really, really important to me, and just being inspiring. A lot of times too, we will sit in our small groups and we'll be like, okay, guys, I have this problem. How are you guys solving this? So it's just been really, really rewarding overall to know that I can not only help and support founders, but also to know that there are so many children that are benefiting from this. And not only the children, but also their families. Because if you are a parent or if you've been working in education for any amount of time, you just know how special it is to be able to create these spaces for kids. And then for parents to know that their child is in a safe space where he or she can be successful and do all of these like incredible things that happen within our micro schools. I just really truly love having that supportive environment and community. It's very, very important and very rewarding to me.
Yeah, I echo everything you said. I think that was perfectly summed up.
Thank
And
you.
what about like when a founder feels stuck or hits a roadblock? How do you typically help to move them forward and make sure that they are doing the right things at the right time in the right way?
Yeah, great question. And I'm going to be very honest. I am not the end all be all. I'm one personality, I'm one person. The beautiful thing about KaiPod Catalyst is that there are so many other people that I can reach out to. So besides messaging you, Carolyn, there are just so many other people, and that's part of the beauty of the community of it, is that besides me, you also have your entire group that you can go to. Because if you'll see, Melissa has people that help her out. Bonnie has people within our group that help her out. And outside of our group, we have each other as well. There's just, it's like an endless place, a resource that you can find so much information. So we've really just enjoyed that. A lot of what I will say is that if I get stuck trying to help them, we have so many resources and so many templates, so much training that I can say, like, go back and let's look at this together. And so there's never really, besides, state or city or county roadblocks, there's not any roadblocks that we're not able to overcome together.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head when if you don't know something, there is somebody who knows it, but also like that's what your group is for, to utilize your resources together. And I know you guys had a member in your group who was really great at building websites and said, hey, you're not sure about your website, like let me lean in and help out. So that was, yeah, I think that's really important as well. And then Bonnie, I'm interested in hearing from you, kind of, before you joined the program, like what doubts or challenges did you have in opening your school? I'm sure many of the people here feel very similarly right now and just have all of these doubts. Um, Talk me through that a little, from when you first joined Catalyst. Oh, you're on mute, Bonnie.
Always. Okay, so I don't have a traditional teacher's license, and that really bugged me. How can I do this if I'm not, a licensed teacher? My degree is in theology. I've been homeschooling for, like I said, 39 years, and I've had children. I've done it all. I've had children in Christian school. I've had my kids in just public school. I've had them in private school. I've homeschooled. Just homeschooling seems to fit. Well, we wanted a school. So my kids, which they want to say hi real quick. this is why I do what I do. They're standing here waiting for you guys. This is Charlie, this is Kennedy, and this is Charlotte.
Hi,
And
guys.
Hi. Okay, go. So these are the reasons that I do what I do. We wanted a school. How do you create a school? So private school, you know, it was a journey that it just blew my mind. So, like I said, I was just Googling one day. I came across Microschool. What is that? And I got scared because how do you start a school? So you think the city, where do I find a facility for a school? Oh my gosh, curriculums. How do I get curriculums? Well, what about the different personalities? A one-room schoolhouse. And what am I going to do? I started off telling Mercedes that I was going to do first grade through third. She says, Bonnie, open it up to kindergarten. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. She said, do it, do it. So I did. So now we're up to from kindergarten to sixth grade. I never ever thought about special needs. I've been a foster parent for 28 years, I believe it was. And we've had special needs. We've had hundreds of children. So it just never dawned on me about special needs. So then parents started contacting me that had special needs children. And then I found out, oh, well, our community doesn't have a lot for special needs. So one parent just kept calling me and kept calling me. So now we're waiting on our facility and we're waiting on the city. So there's a billion questions. Where, what about the curriculum of, the money? Believe me, Facebook Marketplace is your greatest gift, and putting it out on social media, people want to help. So if you're thinking about tables and chairs and the little things, don't worry about that. And then, well, I started a nonprofit years ago. Should I turn the nonprofit into, and that's still a question that I'm playing with. So we started our school as for profit. And now we're going to, I believe, split the school up into the for-profit side, and then our special needs section will be for nonprofit. So
Very cool.
you're never alone. Like Carolyn said, Mercedes said, you're never alone, and you've got a ton of people to help you. You have every resource you could ever imagine, and everybody is just a phone call or a text message or an email away.
Yeah, I love that. And I love what you said about how you ended up changing your vision for your school, or the grades you served, or the types of students. And I think that happens so often, and it's really fun to see, community feedback and what other people are saying, and be able to kind of build your vision based on that. But it's hard, sitting in many of your seats right now, thinking like, I don't really know what I want to build. I don't know what's out there. I don't know who needs what in my community. And my advice to you is like, talk to your community. That's the only way you're going to know what people need, is by talking to them. So if you're looking for like how do I get started, that is a great first step for you. Thanks, Bonnie. Melissa, I'm interested in hearing from you, going way back to before you were getting started and before you joined Catalyst. What doubts or challenges did you have about opening your school?
So I would say the biggest doubts and challenges wasn't like necessarily the education side. It was more of the logistics and the entrepreneur side. So, I was an educator. So that's my background, but I knew I wanted to create something different for my daughter who was transitioning into middle school. But I didn't know what that looked like. Like Bonnie, she kind of like dove into like, what is a microschool? And I actually had a parent approach me, and I was currently in the classroom, or in the school, I should say, and said, have you ever thought about starting a learning pod? And it just kind of like turned this on, like, okay, maybe maybe I could do that. But then of course, logistics scared me. So I didn't really put a lot of like research into it, but I did like kind of piece it a little bit until I found you guys. And then once I said, okay, I can have some people help me and guide me through this, then it became more of the reality, if that makes sense. So that way I wasn't feeling more concerned about not doing something properly. Or I know I've seen some stuff in the chat about regulations in different states and all of those things, and it was like, yeah, I want to make sure I'm doing it right. So that's definitely, that was my biggest fear. And I think my confidence of doing that was also a big part of some of the roadblocks I had at first, but definitely overcame those. Like Mercedes definitely helped me through that. And then she, evolving and making sure I had all of my things checked off of the list. It was like, okay, I felt more confident and I could do it. So that was definitely, where I started, and where I've come are completely different. So you can do it. Just for my educators, it was the entrepreneur side. And I know that's probably scary. We can teach, but all that other business stuff, it was more, the things that I was worried about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I heard kind of a little bit from both of you in different ways, like imposter syndrome. Like somebody came to you and said, "Hey, you should do this thing." And it's like, "Wait, me? I'm the person?" And I think that's something that we really help throughout the program is I don't know if fixing the imposter syndrome is the right way to say it, but helping you get past that and battle that, and even from there, like build confidence, as you said, and just continue to grow yourself as an entrepreneur and a business owner, while doing everything the right way. So thank you for sharing. Let's go to Bonnie again. I'm interested in hearing from you, kind of like what specific results came out of having a mentor. Maybe it was helping to secure families, or even just having the confidence to launch.
So having a mentor and the group itself was awesome, because like Mercedes said, what she didn't know, one of the girls in our group, Raven, she knew, and other ones knew, and we could just bounce back and forth. Talking about the nonprofit, Anya was in our group, and I still, we still stay in contact. And that's the good thing, because after your mentor period, they're still your friends. I mean, this is like a family. And it was so sad. I told Mercedes in June, what am I going to do? I can't let you go. But I mean, we stay in contact. We're a phone call away. Like I said, if it was awesome, because I got stuck on a website, just one little teeny thing, and I spent weeks on that because I was determined I was going to do it on my own. Well, it wound up, Mercedes, I went to her school. She sat down while the kids were watching a movie and fixed what I needed in all of 3 minutes that I spent weeks on. And you have questions, and imposter syndrome, that's real. That's real, because I was so positive. I just knew everything was going to be A, B, and C, and 1, 2, 3, and done. And it didn't work out that way. So then, you get a little, is this for me? Am I good enough? But you are. And that's what I have Mercedes for, and all the other ladies. It's just, and you guys, because Carolyn, I've talked to you, I've talked to many. If I have a question or y'all don't hear from me for a little bit, you shoot me a message, and it helps. I mean, you can't do it alone. And this is, in my opinion, the best group of people that you could ever want to walk this journey with.
Wow, amazing. Thank you. Melissa, what about you? What specific results for you came out of having a mentor?
So I would definitely say the confidence was number one. Because I did doubt myself a lot. And I just, throwing this out there, I said, I got to have 10 students because I still need to make ends meet. And that was my goal. So I had to have my 10 students. I had one, that was my daughter. So I needed 9 more. And I got some kids, and I was like, okay, I only have 4, Mercedes, what am I going to do? And she's like, you've got this, you're going to figure it out. And again, Bonnie said she added kindergarten. I had some people, I started as 6th through 8th grade, and then I had some people reach out about high school, and then I had some people reach out of elementary, and I said, oh boy. So I, kind of extended it a little bit here and there. And then, I ended up surpassing my goal. Of course, I have, over 30 students now. So my confidence started to continue to go up as I was able to see, okay, yes, these are working. Mercedes would help me. I know some people were in the chat are talking about like, how do you like find people, right? She was totally helping me through that process of reaching out to on social media, my website, creating flyers and things like that. So all of those little things that, you have to get that momentum going. And she was right there. I think that really helped me have that boost, and having a second set of eyes to look at the things that I created is super helpful as well, to say, is this right? Like, does this look like it's going to be engaging? What should I change? So just, I think having her there through the whole process, and being my biggest supporter in all of this, aside from my family, but she was there and guided me through all of those steps, not only just in like a checklist, but building my confidence as well, and helping me through that process. So that was really the biggest thing I got out of my relationship and my, mentorship with Mercedes.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you both for sharing. I think those are like such powerful examples of how mentorship like really makes a difference. It's not just somebody who is there and you talk to them once a month or something like that. Your mentors really are there to guide you along the way. And back to you, Mercedes. So would love to hear from you kind of from the support side. What's been one of the most rewarding moments for you in supporting school founders?
Oh gosh. Well, since two of my people are here, how am I going to choose? Honestly, I think just knowing the journey of each of these founders, knowing where they all started, and also not to compare, but I compared my own journey over and over again, because it really brings you back. I see a lot of people in the chat about asking about opening micro schools in their home. And that was my intention initially. I was like, oh, I'm going to have 8 kids at my house, and we're just going to do this micro school thing at my home. And then it was not that, because there was so much interest. But I really could see, like when I was talking to Melissa, she was one of my biggest concerns from the beginning. I was like, she's lacking confidence. I don't know if she's going to be able to launch, because she's not confident. And then she like blew it out of the water, which I knew that she could do it. But then as things progress, like she's like, okay, I'm looking at a location, and okay, I'm actually thinking about expanding grades, and okay, I'm talking to this other teacher to come on. And so there have been those things, that the challenges that arise sometimes within ourselves, sometimes with things like Bonnie, with what Bonnie's been facing, that come up throughout this journey. And knowing that they are all on a different journey, but getting there through their own means, and through the support of me and other Catalyst employees. It's just been really, really amazing to watch, like just from the spark of an idea to launch day and then beyond. I was just texting with Melissa, and she's like, oh my gosh, this is wild. Like I'm so tired, because I'm over here napping. She's like, I'm so tired. And I'm like, man, you know what? The first 9 weeks is the hardest 9 weeks. Your first year, you're going to go in, and it's going to be incredibly difficult at times. However, it's so rewarding. And to just see that journey from that, like I said, that spark of an idea all the way through launch and then beyond, it's just incredibly rewarding and enjoyable. I have seen founders kind of shape their idea and take their vision, and then really watch it blossom and grow as they think about, like, now that I've done this module, and now that I've talked to my peers within my group, now I actually want to do this. And it kind of starts off with this little tiny idea, and it just keeps growing and growing. And to see all of the different founders be so unique and so themselves and so in control and so confident, it's just a beautiful experience from my end to see that all of these founders, as different and unique as they are, can create this space for their community of learners. It's just an incredible experience.
Yeah, I think it's very similar actually to a kid who comes in on day one and you're like, oh my gosh, they have such potential, but they don't believe in themselves. And just being able to kind of build them up through the whole school year. So thank you for sharing. That's very inspiring to hear. And then I know we started a few minutes late here, so I'm gonna go a little bit longer on the panel. We'll still have time for Q&A at the end, and run a few minutes over if anybody is interested in staying for that. But to kind of wrap up the panel, Melissa, I'd love to turn it over to you. If you have any words of wisdom for somebody who is maybe on the fence about applying or starting a school, not sure if they're ready maybe, and what you would say to them.
So I would definitely say that if you are considering it and you are on the fence, you definitely need support. And I think that, and guidance through the process, I think that that's a huge game changer. I think that, like I said, I had the vision, I didn't have the logistics, and it would not have been possible. But if you're very passionate and it's what either your own children or your community needs, and you're willing to provide that, I think that that's an amazing way to give back, is to, provide something that people need. And if you are passionate about that, I think that taking the next step into having a support system is going to be, what helps you, continue to survive and then thrive, like you were saying earlier, and actually get to the point where you are, successful and you're helping kids. That's really, that was my biggest goal, was helping the kids, and knowing that, I have some students that can't go to traditional school, and I have students that have never been to school, and parents thought they were going to last 10 minutes and they lasted all day with us. And just giving them a space that they're safe and they're welcome, and whatever that looks like, whatever model you choose, whatever population you're choosing or you're serving, just if you're passionate about it, you will make it happen. But again, having that support and taking the stress off of all of those little things that add up, and you're able to just push the passion and the vision through. I think that's really, having that, group is super helpful. I really enjoyed my mentor group. Again, Bonnie kind of touched on it. There's so many other people. I know people are asking about locations and everything. We're here, we're all a big group, even though we do have smaller groups, and we're here to help people and ask questions. There's people that ask questions I never would have thought of asking, and I'm like, wow, that's a great thing. I need to write that down. So, it's just having that system. If you're on the fence, I think that, having a structured, guidance is going to be super helpful, so you can make that passion come to life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things you said really stood out to me is like remembering your why and coming back to the kids. Yes, you can have all of these fears and all of these thoughts about yourself, but just keeping the kids in the forefront at the end of the day is really what pushes you through to be able to say like, yes, I need to do this for my community. And a lot of times that's what it is. It's not a want, it's a need. And I just visited one of our schools yesterday, and it's 2.5 weeks in, and there's a 5-year-old who's on the spectrum and is not very high functioning, and had this breakthrough in 2.5 weeks that her mom was like crying, and she was like, I haven't seen this in her. She is acting differently at home. She's, engaging in school. She's actually like talking to her classmates. And that is why you get started. So thank you for sharing, Melissa. Bonnie, what about you? What would be your advice to somebody who's kind of on the fence about starting a school or applying?
Don't let doubt stop you. It is a hard journey, but an enjoyable journey. If it's your passion, kids are your passion, education is your passion, go for it. Go for it, because most entrepreneurs, when they start a career, they're doing it alone, and they've got to figure it all out on their own. If this is something that is embedded in your heart, that you truly, truly want to do, and you're willing to just bulldoze through any obstacle. I found that I am stronger. I knew I was strong, but through this journey of opening a microschool, I have found that I am stronger than I ever thought that I was, more determined than I ever imagined, and very, very stubborn. So we still have some obstacles that we're facing with the city. Nothing that can't be managed, is just steps. And we wanted to open in a certain facility, and that didn't work out. There are some obstacles there, and I felt defeated. Um, but we just kept looking. We sent out letters, we called, we did everything that KaiPod and that Mercedes told us to do, and we found the perfect place. And now we're just waiting for it to go through different committees so that we can go back to the city. And the city even told us they've got their fingers crossed because this is the perfect place. So you may feel pushed back, you may feel defeated, and man, you're going to feel tired. But just keep pushing. If it's your passion, it's gonna work and you're gonna do it.
I love that. And yeah, I'm like, something happened. So with Bonnie's school, oh, Bonnie's back up. Something happened. Bonnie's back up. It's just been so fun to kind of watch you hit every single roadblock head on and just continue to move forward. So hats off to you. Thank you guys so much for joining this panel. I hope that everybody else on the call got at least something out of it. I am going to move into the Q&A. If the panelists can stick around for the Q&A, great. I know you guys, we were supposed to be done in a few minutes, so if you have to hop, that's completely fine as well. Before we jump into the Q&A, I am going to, I know we got a few questions about kind of like next steps with the program and how to get started and all of that, so I'll run through a little bit more about that real quickly, and then we'll jump into questions. All right, so I want to just make sure that we're all clear about what it takes to join Catalyst and what you get in return. So Catalyst is a one-time cost of $249. This essentially covers your entry into the program, the full course, the online community that we have, your wonderful mentor like Mercedes, and kind of like secures your place in the community. And then in addition to that, there is the long-term support. So for 2 years after you launch, you have ongoing support, which includes coaching, mentorship, accountability, and resources as you launch and grow your school. So I just updated this number right before this call, actually. We are trying to keep this cohort intentionally small so that it is still a tight-knit group of people. So we have 48 seats remaining. And I don't say that to scare you or try to pressure you or anything like that, but I just want to be very upfront with kind of what we have here still. So if you are able to, let me go to this next slide. If you are able to apply by September 30th, I ran some numbers and I believe like early October is when we'll likely fill those seats. So if you are able to get your application in by September 30th, and you're accepted into the program, you should have a guaranteed seat by then. If you have any questions or, even if it's just like, I don't know if I'm the right person for this, or I don't really understand how this works or anything like that, there's also a QR code here to schedule a one-on-one consultation with our team. We'll do a full app walkthrough with you if you're interested in kind of getting feedback on your application. Or like I said, if you have any other questions at all, we're happy to answer on these one-on-one calls, or we also are always available at catalyst@kaipodlearning.com for any questions that come up. I know it's a big step and you guys probably have a million questions. We are happy to answer all 1 million for you if you send them to us. So that is next steps with the program. All right, let's dive into some questions. Let me go over, Matt generously wrote some of these up for me. And I will top some of the panelists in as well. All right. Would love to hear from any of you how you decided what type of school to open in terms of private, nonprofit, for-profit, all of those things.
I can go on that one. I'm in Florida, and we're very fortunate to have state scholarships for homeschool families. And so my program is actually catered to homeschool students. So we are a homeschool microschool. So private school is a little bit different as far as logistics go. So I wasn't ready to explore that quite yet. And so I'm a full-time homeschool program. And then I definitely would like to explore the private school route, but I think that building up to that is kind of, depending on your state, there's different regulations and things like that. So that's kind of where I started just kind of researching that for Florida.
Yeah. And I would say a lot of these things play into each other. So obviously, like being a private school is completely different than being a nonprofit or for-profit, but a lot of the elements of creating a school are based on like some of these seemingly small decisions. Most of them you can change. Like Melissa said, she's exploring another option. So it's not like oh my gosh, I did this and I can never go back on it type of thing. But we really do like help you kind of determine, especially like in your location and your state, as Melissa said, what type of school you need to be, if you should call yourself a learning pod or a tutoring center or a private school, or if you need to be accredited or not, those sorts of things. All right, can we do just virtual learning with our students? So this is an interesting one. I'll take this one. I do think that there are a lot of great virtual programs out there, which is what makes it really hard to establish yourself as a virtual program. I always say, if you're thinking about doing a virtual program, like an online school or something like that, ask yourself why. If it's not because this is the absolute best way for these students to learn, then it's probably not going to work. So I know we had a call with somebody the other day who is doing online programming for like young kids who just joined the MLB, so baseball. Like they need to do online school. That makes sense to do virtual learning with them. Whereas if you're like, it kind of would be easier for me if I didn't have to pay for a location, probably not the right reason to start an online school. So it is completely possible. And I always say, like, prove us right on that, but it just has to be for the right reasons.
Hey, Carolyn,
Yeah.
do you mind clarifying for the group the rev share versus the 249? I think people are a little bit confused. Can you just explain how the fact that the 249 gets you into the program, it's not an application fee, there's a zero cost to apply, but you have to pay the 249 if you get in and you want to reserve a seat and go through the training. Once you complete the program and you want to open your school and you start generating revenue, the 10% kicks in. Maybe you can say that more eloquently than I did.
Yeah, I completely skipped over that. I was like, 249, let's go. So it is the 249 to get started, which covers the whole, I think it's like 9 months of the program. And then once you officially launch your school, that's when the revenue share kicks in. So we really, really want to be aligned with you on, we don't want to be successful if you're not successful. So we don't want to like charge $15,000 upfront and say, in order to get in, you need to do this, because you never know. Things happen in life. People get sick. You might move, those sorts of things that cause you to not open a school. And like, we don't want to sit here and be like, haha, you have to pay us anyway. So that's why we have this rev share model that kicks in once you officially open. So it is 10% of your revenue, which is pretty easy math. And I'm not a math person. So I saw an example. Oh, that was Matt. Well, for example, if you generate $70,000 in your first year, you would owe KaiPod 7,000 of that. It is reconciled quarterly. We get that question a lot. And there's one more thing I was going to say about that. There is a $10,000 a year cap on that as well. So anything over $100,000 that you make is just upside for you, and you would not owe KaiPod any of that.
And the revenue share is for 2 years. After the 2-year period, the founder has the option to continue receiving the support from KaiPod at an 8% rate. Is that correct, Carolyn?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Some people were asking about that. Hopefully that clarified it.
Yeah, thank you. And then the application is, yep, there you go. Perfect. You're one step ahead of me. Awesome. Let's dive into another question here. Are microschools legal in all states currently? So this is kind of going back to what I was saying about like what you need to call your school, how you need to register your school. So it really depends. Like to answer your question, yes, microschools are legal in every state. So sometimes you just have to like go as a private school. It just depends on your area and your state. So those are some of the things that we can talk through with you. We also have like state by state guides on how to navigate these sorts of things so that you are registering properly in order not to be illegal, I guess you could say. But micro schools are just another way to say like alternative schooling, and it is legal in all states. I have a few questions about kind of like certifications and teaching experience and those sorts of things. And we get this question a lot of like, can I just hire a teacher but open a school myself? Which kind of plays into, I saw somebody asking about like how much people make in the first year. So I would say everything is based on your enrollment. And if you join the program, you'll hear me say that 30,000 times before next August. Everything you do depends on your enrollment, which is why it's so important to hit the ground running with getting your name out there and talking to your community as soon as possible. So yes, you can absolutely hire somebody and run the school, but if you plan to pay both of you, you need to have enough enrollments in order to cover your costs. So at the end of the day, all of your money is coming from student tuition. You can get grants and donations and things like that to start, but it's very rare that those sorts of things can actually sustain your school. So the certified teacher question, again, I hate to be a broken record, but it depends on your state. So some states do require you to be a certified teacher and have certain criteria, meet certain criteria. Other states are just like, hey, if you want to teach children, you're allowed to teach children. And then let's do one more here.
Melissa, were you raising your hand?
Yeah, I was actually going to say, so the certified teacher question, it depends on who you're marketing to, right? You know, obviously Bonnie has her experience in homeschooling students, so she has like that resume, and, you know, I have a certified teacher resume. So it just depends on what your families are looking for. A lot of mine were kind of looking for like that happy medium of, I don't want to send them to public school, but I don't, you know, or I don't want to homeschool them, right? They kind of needed that in between. So some people are looking for different things. So I think that's really also something that could play a role in how you know, or what you need as far as, or what people are looking for.
Yep. Yeah. And something we work on a lot is kind of like your founder story. And how do you prove to families that maybe I'm not a teacher, but I know what I'm doing and I'm passionate, and here's what my school will look like and why I'm credible, kind of thing. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, Melissa. That's definitely helpful. All right, do one more question here. Trying to find a random one in the chat.
This was a good, well, Stacy was asking, how does KaiPod track the revenue?
So there's two ways. The first is through our Newton app, which is the easiest way. So we have a all-in-one kind of micro school management application that we have called Newton, and it manages through Newton. You can manage things like attendance, family messaging. Soon you can do student messaging, task management. So building a plan for a student for a week to make sure that they get everything accomplished that they need to get accomplished. And then you also do all of your billing and enrollment through Newton. So it's really easy if you do use Newton, because it essentially, like, when you get paid, we just take 10% out of that tuition. So it's kind of like before it even hits your bank account, it is taken out, which is an easy way to make sure that you don't spend the money that you thought that you were going to have, but then you have to pay KaiPod. The second way is if you decide not to use Newton for whatever reason, like I said, we reconcile quarterly. So we'll meet with you and see what your revenue was for that quarter, and then send you an invoice for that amount that you would just pay within, I think, 10 days of receiving the invoice.
I wanted to answer one more because I saw a lot of this in the chat, just about serving students with special needs. And I will say that so many micro schools serve students with special needs, whether or not you have special education background. I personally do, and I have opened my school to students with special needs, and the success rate that we've had has been absolutely incredible. Just academically, social, emotional. The students are thriving. It does take some additional support, and you will definitely want to look at what those needs are for each individual student. But these places are places where students can absolutely thrive because it is such a different setting, and because our expectations and academic requirements a lot of times are so different. So I would definitely encourage you, if you're interested in pursuing serving students without special needs, gifted, talented. It's a beautiful place for students to be able to come together and learn.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. I know I kept you all a few minutes late. I really thank you for joining and sticking with us through our little troubles there. Again, if you do have any questions for either myself or any of the panelists, you can reach out at catalyst@kaipodlearning.com. We'll be following up with an email with the application link and the link to schedule a one-on-one as well. And then we'll get the recording out in case you might have missed anything. So thank you all for joining. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and I look forward to reviewing your application. All right.
Bye, everybody.